and welcome back to the channel. Ooh, let's see, lighting. They say lighting is everything, and I still have not figured out how to. Let's go with that and see what happens. Anyway, hey, welcome back to the channel. It is March. We are a third of the way into 2022, and so far the Leading Lady Challenge has brought just that, quite the challenge. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't enjoying it. I'd be lying if I said I have not learned some very valuable lessons in the art, shall we say, of being me. Anyway, all that to say, here it is. It's March. It's time to turn the page, so to speak, and hop on into the third book that I ever wrote and self-published. It turns out that it was my first full-length novel, being 50,000 plus words. It was also the first book that I wrote that earned first book that I wrote that earned my NaNoWriMo National Novel National Novel, right? Yeah, I'll put the actual title here on the screen. Anyway, it's the first book that earned me a NaNoWriMo winner's badge, and that is, glare aside, Hello Diva. Now, of course, all of my characters, even not the side characters so much, but definitely all of my leading ladies in all the books I've written so far have some aspect of me in them. I think almost every writer I've ever read, almost every author I've ever read that has written a ton of books, Stephen King in particular, I think every writer somehow or another, a part of them is infused into one or two of the main characters. I think it's just what happens as writers, particularly writers of fiction. It's difficult to write objectively. It's difficult to write about feelings, emotions. It's difficult to write characters that don't have some of our perspectives, some of our similar traits and beliefs and so on. But anyway, most of my leading ladies represent some aspect of myself that I am processing through, struggling to understand. I put them in situations, they end up in situations that are based on things that have happened to me in my real life. And through that character, I'm able to process how that situation has affected me. I'm able to express emotions and kind of process my way through whatever it is I'm feeling via my character. I hope I explained that so you'd understand what I'm trying to say. Anyway, all of that to say, Hello Diva is, of course, about a freelance writer who was bullied as a child and is now in her late 30s, early 30s, more than likely. You think I'd know, huh, since I wrote the book. But truthfully, my characters and I learn about them the same way you do as I'm writing and reading the story. Anyway, lead character, Cherise Sales, starts to lose her hair. In this process, she, thanks to her wonderful and lifelong friend Yvette, who just happens to be a master stylist, she gets her first weave. And while that situation could very well be comical, it has quite the effect on Cherise, on her self-esteem, on her success as a writer, right? And I don't want to spoil it, of course, but if you're at all interested in how this transformation goes, you'll definitely want to pick up a copy. Anyway, I'm choosing Charisse this month, not only because third book in my catalog, but because she is so much like me that I think it'll be easy to pull out the traits that I'm hoping to embody. And what are those traits, you may be wondering? Thought you'd never ask. This month, I am looking to Charisse to guide me through her resilience and her determination to achieve her goal. Now, it's never, is that a spoiler? That's probably a spoiler. Anyway, despite the setbacks that she experiences throughout the novel, hair loss aside, because that is only that's just one small thing. All of that aside, she still manages to maintain her writing schedule. She still manages to complete not one but two novels and go on to market and put herself out there, shall we say, in her own way. And again, see, don't want to give anything away. I want you to read the book. Anyway, but yeah, she's got a unique way of staying true to herself. And that is what I want to embody for the month of March. I want to show up as authentically as I can. And I want to reignite my determination to become a world-renowned author. Now, that particular goal was set when I was about 12. Yeah, I might have even been younger than that. But let me tell you this story. So, okay. Mom was big on taking my sister and I to the theater, right? She wanted us to be cultured. She wanted us to enjoy the arts, to learn, all that good jazz, right? And so we went to see Dr. Maya Angelou speak. And I promise you, I will never forget this. So, of course, we're sitting there and this woman, walks out onto the stage. And this was the first time I remember ever seeing her, particularly in person. And you don't really get the scope of just what a powerful, large personality Dr. Maya Angelou was. But she comes out on stage and she begins to speak. And oh my goodness, the more, she read from a couple of her books. She, of course, wrapped things up with reciting Phenomenal Woman, which to this day, hands down, is one of my favorite pieces. Anyway, her performance that night, her reading, her talking that night really solidified my love of the written word and shaped how I wanted to be perceived, how I wanted to share my thoughts, my feelings. I wanted it through the written word. I wanted to have her presence as well. In subsequent interviews and things that I saw from her, there was just something about her when she was in a room, you were going to know it. When she opened her mouth to speak, everyone was going to listen. And I always wanted to have that kind of presence. Well, being the introvert that I am, I fell back and relied more so on the written word. So I would write in instances where I think Dr. Maya Angelou would speak eloquently, if I may add. But anyway, all that aside, we got to go meet with her, and it wasn't, she was signing autographs and things after the performance. And I walk up, to the table, and she looks at me in my face, right? And what adults were doing that back in the day, right? She's looking this kid in the face, and she asked me, well, what is your name? And I told her, Dana. And she repeated it. And again, her speaking my name spoke my writing self into being. I definitely was a reader, definitely was a talker, in case you couldn't tell. But I never really considered myself, I was, 11, 10, 12, whatever it was. But I didn't think of myself in terms of being a writer. I didn't think of the power of words. I had been afflicted by the power of words because, again, by this time, the bullying and all that good happy jazz had pretty much reached its peak. So I understood that words, when used to hurt, could definitely do so. But again, it was something when she said my name and talked to me about that little bit of exchange that we had. She talked to me about school, about reading, about writing. I knew right then and there, I was like, well, that's a wrap. I want to be a published author. I want to be world renowned the same way Dr. Maya Angelou was for the words that I speak. And ever since then, I am very reluctant to speak first in terms of, when you have an exchange with somebody. I'm very careful with the words that I choose because I want to speak life into someone else. I want to speak about possibility. I want to speak about their dreams, their goals, their plans. I want to speak about them overcoming the hurt, the pain, the obstacles. I want to use my words to empower and transform. I want the words that I speak, particularly to other people, to be in their best interest. I'm scrambling. See, this is why I write, because I could have edited all that and put the exact words down on page that I really want to use. What I'm trying to say is I want my words to help people feel better about themselves. I want to encourage with my words other people to be their best selves. Not different, I don't want you to conform. I don't want you to fit into the box. I don't want you to look like everybody else. I don't want you to do what everybody else does. If I'm talking to you and encouraging you and supporting you, I want to be doing all those things to help you be your best self. Okay? All right. All that aside, we are here in March. My leading lady that I'm going to be channeling is Cherie Sales, and I am going to spend the next 30 days, because today's the 1st. Well, no. By the time you see this, it will actually be, I'm looking at my calendar here. By the time you see this, it'll be the 2nd. Oh, the power of technology and batch prepping your content. Anyway, I'm going to spend all of March doing whatever I can to propel myself forward toward becoming a world-renowned author. You, lovely viewer, can help with that by sharing this video. This particular video doesn't necessarily, I mean, you know, I'm not educating anybody. I'm not giving you the 5 simple steps to blah, blah, blah. No, we're not doing any of that, but we are going to be playing dress up and talking about how I'm embodying Sharice's traits and whatnot. We may even delve a little further into my hair loss journey and what it was like getting my first weave. We are certainly going to be talking about the wonderful, supportive people who found their way into characters in the book. So yes, all that is coming up. So definitely, if you want to help me reach this goal, then please share the video. Just share it. I'm not even going to, of course, I'm going to ask you to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good jazz. But that's only because the algorithm keeps telling, you know what? Now that I think about it, my channel, it doesn't even matter. I'm not monetized. So the algorithm probably couldn't care less about me and my little channel, which is fine because I actually like it that way, because then I don't have to cater to it. I don't have to feed it. I can say, do, be any way I want. I, like Sharice, can show up in my authentically quirky, weird, dragon-loving, sword-having, bald, women's contemporary fiction, self-published author self, and not have to worry about any of that techno SEO algorithm stuff that goes on in the background. Which again is another reason why you can help me by sharing. See how it all comes together? Anyway, okay, that's enough. It's probably time for me to get ready for bed. Yeah, because it's kind of late in the evening when I'm recording this. So yeah, anyway, thank you so much for coming back if you're a returning viewer, and definitely if you're new, click the subscribe button. Had to throw that in there because, you know, you never know. Oh, and if you, oh my God, you really want to help me? Click the link in the description below and buy a copy. I have them in paperback and digital. So if you're one of those young folk, you know, who have to do everything via some kind of electronic handheld device, then again, by all means, click that link, buy Hello Diva, take it out for a spin, and then come back and leave a comment. I'm going to go now before I babble on any longer. Thanks for stopping by. And Sharice and I will